Welcome to One Sharp Sword, cutting through to what matters most. I'm Dr. P, Dr. Wayne Pernell, your host, guide, and coach on this journey. I am honored to bring my guest today, Dr. Tobias Bartholomé, who has built a remarkable career helping leaders and organizations navigate transformation, uncertainty, and growth. Dr. Bartholomé and I have a lot in common. A psychologist by training and a strategic workforce leader by profession, Tobias has spent more than 2 decades helping Lufthansa and the Lufthansa Group tackle some of their biggest organizational challenges, including leadership development, large-scale transformation, workforce planning, and navigating the humanity behind change. What makes Tobias especially interesting is his ability to see both the people and the system. While many leaders focus on one or the other, he understands that organizations perform best when human potential, organizational design, and thoughtful decision making work together. Today, he is helping to shape the future workforce of one of the world's largest aviation organizations in the world while exploring the opportunities and challenges created by AI, shifting talent markets, and increasing uncertainty. We'll talk about leadership under pressure, what organizations often misunderstand about people, and what it takes to stay resilient in our rapidly changing world. Dr. Tobias Bartholomé, welcome, or shall I say, willkommen to One Sharp Sword.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Wayne. Wow.
It's cool,
Yeah,
right? Like when you
I'm
hear yourself, when you
yeah,
hear all that stuff about yourself, it's kind of like, oh, that's
I'm
me.
flattered. I'm flattered. Th- thanks a lot. Actually, my Outlook calendar says around that time of the day because in Germany it's the late afternoon. It's I have a reminder. I want to thank the Academy, so I try to end every day with a thank you.
Very good.
So I end this day with a thank you. Wow, that
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here too. Some people also call me Dr. B. That might be so if you're Dr. P, so that might be another thing we have in common. And yeah,
Oh,
looking very
very
much
good.
forward to the conversation.
Right? So people greet me with, "Hey, Dr. Wayne," and then they'll call me Dr. P. And I imagine that you're Dr. Tobias, and then it's, "Hey, Dr. B." So welcome to the Dr. B and Dr. P show. Let me
Yeah.
start by asking you, like, here's what I want to do, Tobias, is I want to ask you about the work you're doing now, but also
hmm
and also the path that got you here.
hmm
So in terms of you and I had a chance to speak ahead of time. It was a week or so ago, 2 weeks. Um, and it's clear that you operate in environments of huge complexity. You've done that for decades at this point. Talk a little bit about a leadership identity. In order to lead effectively during complexity, and now we're seeing more and more complexity. How do we integrate this new technology? What is the new technology? Do I, as a leader, need to know enough, or need to know more if I've got experts, subject matter experts, who actually know what they're doing, right? So there's
hmm
this. Do I have to be as smart as the people I've hired kind of thing? Then there's the growth of the organization. So talk a little bit about I like to frame it as leadership identity. Like,
hmm
who are they? And okay, you've got this
Yeah.
answer brewing. I can see it. I love it. Go for it.
Yeah, interesting, right? I think in former times, or when it was more about management and not so much about leadership, it was that the leader might have thought of themselves as the know-it-alls, right? I'm the best
Yes.
one at what I do, and unfortunately, still some promotions are based on, hey, she or he is the best at this job. Let's make her let's offer her or him a leadership position,
Mm,
and I think it's it's not like that, right? actually I'm a big fan of watching mostly American TV series. I'm a big fan of Ted Lasso's, for example, and he's a very good leadership example from my perspective because he brings no domain knowledge, right? Uh, I don't know for those who aren't familiar. He's like an American football coach who's brought to English football team, so totally different sports.
Very.
But he is a coach, right? And
Yes.
that makes him, in this way, superior, maybe even to subject matter experts who develop leadership as a side competence. And I love that, and I think it's in times of complexity, it's on leaders to shape an ecosystem where the intelligence of the many can really unfold and where growth can happen, right? I had once had a boss who said, my aspiration is to have my people, like I don't know the English word, right? To over Do you say overtake? Yeah. To drive
Sure.
faster than me
Surpass.
on to surpass me on the career ladder, and I'm the day I'm very sure that I did a good job, or is when some of my directs will have surpassed me in the future.
That's
And I love
fantastic.
that picture, right? And I love that it's kind of, yeah, Simon Sinek stuff, like leaders should not create followers but create leaders.
Correct. Yeah.
And leadership, right, isn't a rank, doesn't come with a position, it comes with the responsibility that you take, and it comes as a service that you give to those uh, being led. And
That's the
yeah,
humanity, isn't it? That's the
yeah,
humanity where as a leader you show up in service to not just the organization, but recognizing that the organization
yeah,
is full of people. So you're in service to people.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
It's just right. It's just, and maybe that is something that people get wrong when thinking about the people or the HR function, right? As something soft and not inherently related to business. In the very end, business is people buying products from people. So it's inherently human, uh, right? As long let's see how AI develops, right? If
Right.
AI gets true agency and AI buys things, but understanding people and people's needs is at the very heart of business. And most topics that I thought of as soft, I'm not into, for example, the hard skill, soft skill distinction. I don't
Right.
think there's something like that. I think it's human skills, and they might be the hardest uh, to master in difficult times, right? Giving feedback, passing on truth that are uncomfortable, and doing that still in a safe environment. Um, that's nothing soft. I think that is something very challenging and
Yeah. I heard one
yeah.
business group call it, and I've adopted this for myself, the durable skills.
Hmm.
Durable, right? That it's
Yeah.
like these are the ones that will remain,
Yeah.
they're part of us as humans. We'll learn how to do the next computer thing, whatever that is. When spreadsheets became a thing, that was like, oh, now we have to learn spreadsheets. And then it was, learning the different ways that they work. And now it's so far beyond that. It's amazing, right?
Hmm.
And what remains is how do you engage? Who
Hmm.
are you seeing in front of you? And I think, you actually answered a question that I had brewing, which is uh what are leaders, and maybe you want to refine it or add to it. What do you think leaders are getting wrong about people?
Hmm. We may be getting wrong that employees are adults, right? I think
Yes.
some at least when you think about management and that whole theory X, theory Y thing, right? Are people intrinsically motivated or aren't they? There are still a lot of practices and that are still there in today's leadership and management ecosystems that are pretty much theory X, right? How do I motivate people? You do not motivate people. You can never motivate people, right? You can shape an environment that is motivating or that helps self-motivation, but people
Love
can
that.
only motivate themselves. And then maybe that is something that we get wrong also in huge transformations, right? That currently we are, job-wise, there's so much transformation. I've never seen that much transformation in that little time than there's going on now. And people and leaders try to grasp that and sometimes oversimplify and say, okay, we cannot talk to everybody about this because we need to shape this in a small circle. And then right, sometimes I like talking on, I'm not quite sure how much psychologists on the audience, right? Like transaction analysis, right? Who am I speaking to? Am I speaking adult to adult? Am I speaking eye
Yes.
level?
I
Or am I
love that you're
speaking,
bringing this up. I teach Claude Steiner's work all the
or am I
time. This is
speaking critical parent to the child, right?
this is so good. This is so good. Right. So
And
so just
yeah,
for really quick, inside each person lives the parent, the adult, and the child. And Um, and you see it in kids. Like what's really remarkable is that you can see it in a 3-year-old that carries around their little doll and they'll go, now little dolly, you stay there. And they're going from parent to child when they're speaking to their little
yeah,
their toy, which is phenomenal. And we do that when we engage with each other, and it's often subconscious. And I
hmm,
think, our work is to bring the subconscious to consciousness so that people actually have
yeah,
they're intentional and they have choices in the way they engage. So this is really great. Creating an environment that's motivating and remembering to meet people at the adult level versus being the
hmm,
authoritarian parent or
yeah,
and producing a child response. Really good. Really good.
yeah. And I think it sometimes happens, or it's something that is you. Yeah, there's a danger that you get there, right? Once when organizations grow, they kind of distance themselves just by evolving from their original purpose. And sometimes you then think not of people, but of functions, and right. And if you have, I don't know, well, I don't know the correct number, but we have over 20,000 flight attendants, for example, in our organization. And that is a huge bunch of individuals, right? So
Yes.
they are maybe often thought of as function or as, okay, how can we increase productivity? Uh, but they are like, as I just in a short chat, as I just told you, we are celebrating 100 years of Lufthansa, and I'm still suffering a bit from it. We had a really good party in Frankfurt with pretty much a lot of people and also a lot of flight crew staff, right?
Yeah.
And my backstory with Lufthansa, I started recruiting flight attendants, so I pretty much know them or the type of people, and it's like the most diverse group you can think of, right? Back then, I hired the bassist of a hardcore band, as well as a vicar who wasn't into church that much anymore, architects, lawyers, and so on, right? Who just said, "Hey, I have a calling to do service to people, and I have a calling to be traveling and to be connecting with different cultures." And there's so much in this huge group that you neglect when you think of them as just a function. And but so it's you
That's
have to
that's really well
constantly
said.
remind you, right? It's the
Uh,
same with big factory workers, right? Those are people, and they bring their whole selves to work. Let's not
Right.
forget that.
No, I think that's excellent. The audience spans people who are in fintech, people who are in logistics, people who are
Hmm.
in, just a variety of healthcare, and consumer goods and retail. It's incredible. And so the truth is, people are people. And it's not people are people, like everybody's the same. It's people are people, not
Hmm.
their job function. And I think that is huge to underscore. I do want to talk about some of the ups and downs that Lufthansa's had, but I think now is a really great time to kind of go back into your own story since you started
Hmm.
talking about you joined Lufthansa, you were doing some HR work. You started by I love that. You started by recruiting flight attendants and you
Mm.
saw how diverse a group that was. That's amazing. So, talk a little bit about that. When did you get your doctorate?
Yeah.
How did you find Lufthansa? How did they find you? Just bring us into your story.
Mm. Yeah, actually, I'm, as I said, psychologist by training, and really love that, um, yeah, that domain. So I loved it so much that I couldn't really. It took me some time to figure out which branch of psychology I would like to get into. So in the studies, I focused on organizational psychology and clinical psychology. I did my doctorate then in more cognition and education psychology. So it was about learning back then, learning with multimedia,
Huh.
well, whatever that is, right? So learning with some multimedia artifacts.
It means
And
paper and Play-Doh. No.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's like that, right? Um,
Multimedia. Yes.
And yeah, when finishing up, I kind of I said, okay, I don't want to be in that deep work cycles. In the scientific communities, they have something very special that I like in a way, but also they were a bit circling around themselves. And even though it is, I think in America it's a bit different. Education and psychology in America is a bit more actionable. In Germany, it's more education system is more political and not so much
Mm.
science based. So that was a bit. I said, okay, that I loved the perspective, but I have to go somewhere else. And somehow it was love that brought me then to Frankfurt because my then girlfriend, now wife, has already moved to Frankfurt. I said, okay, I looking for work in the Frankfurt area, and yeah, then I was getting like self-employed as an assessor for different customers. And Lufthansa was one of them, and the first group was flight attendants there. And that was even when I was in the last days of doing my doctorate, and that was nice, right? On the one hand side, I was writing a book and trying to think in relations that span like 3 years, three and a half empirical studies, and so on. And then I had a day, and I had like 11 interviews a day, and 11 decisions taken and no strings attached. And that with those very inspiring bunch of people, that was cool. So I was doing work as a freelance recruiter trainer for a while, and yeah, somehow they started to make me offers, and the I think the second or third I said, hey, yeah, okay, maybe that's something, and I started with Lufthansa Cargo as people development manager for the operational staff there at the cargo hub. That is also something again very different from flight attendants, right? Those are logistics people
I'll bet.
building pallets, breaking down pallets, and but it's really cool. I really loved that. It was like being at the pulse of Germany as an export world champion, right? 30% of the values that Germany's shipping to the world is going through air freight. So you can, and that is very much at the Frankfurt hub. So if you go to the logistic halls there, Lufthansa Cargo, you could like watch the pulse what's going on in the world, right?
Amazing.
Rally cars from Rally Dakar, racing horses, Olympics. But back then there was some Olympic games also. They so there was. I still remember vividly when I did my onboarding week there. There were Olympic supplies, a pallet full of
Wow.
Swedish beer, labeled as Olympic supplies, being shipped to
You know?
the Olympics. But yeah, yeah. I think that's legal, doping. It's not, at least after the matches.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I started there, and what I really love about Lufthansa is the opportunities that you have, right? I've traveled in the HR function for all my career so far, but I never did the same thing more than 3 years in a row. So it was like then starting out there and then taking over the team and doing change and transformation work. A lot of digitization projects were started then back then at Lufthansa Cargo, and I had a chance to kind of shape the HR part of that. Then I went over to the group, and there it was some efficiency programs
When you say the
that I
group,
was
talk a
involved.
little bit about that. Where was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and how did that differ? Because you were doing flight attendant training, you were with Lufthansa Cargo, and now
Now it's then to
it's
the head
big,
office, so to say. Yeah,
right? The corporate
yeah, and
office, Lufthansa
yeah,
Group.
it's really a big group, and in some of the stations, my job was to figure out how big the group is because it's sometimes it's subsidiaries that again have subsidiaries, so you have to count your eggs. And I'm not quite sure how many there are right now, but back then it was more than 550 subsidiaries. So 105,000 people in the world, and very different branches that are all related to aviation or to the airline business. So there's also a
How
technical
many people
division.
total in the group? 110,000?
100, 105,000, between 105 and 110. So we have been downsizing a lot during Corona, and then now we are inhaling, right, and growing again, and also
Yes.
growing with new partners in the group. ITA is just joining, so that's the former Italian state airline, which got privatized and now
Uh,
is also part of Lufthansa Group. Very, very interesting part of the group, very new. So Rome as an airport is joining. A lot of Rome to South America routes are joining the group. Yeah,
was
it's
that a
cool.
merger or is that a partnership?
That's a merger. That's an
Okay.
acquisition. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I got you. Okay.
yeah, and and so it's like getting more, and Lufthansa evolved, right, from a German state airline to, it was fully privatized mid of 90s, and then split to branches all centered around customer groups. So Lufthansa Cargo, Lufthansa Technik for the maintenance overhaul. Back then we had a big catering agency, IT, consulting, blah blah blah. But now it grew more into an European airline group. So it's the Belgian airline Brussels. It's Swiss International Airlines, part of the group. Austrian Airlines, part of the group. ITA from Italy, and some German airlines too, right? We have Lufthansa. We also have Eurowings.
Are you helping to manage across countries as well? Because
Mm,
I would imagine the Italian.
yeah, but some in some functions I did. I once had we when we had a functional matrix, I was responsible then for recruiting processes, so process owner for recruiting in Lufthansa Group, and that was then of course across countries. Back in cargo, it was also an international development team with people in Atlanta for the US, people in Singapore for APAC, and yeah.
So I am curious. When you've got a multinational, international group with various cultures, Italians are pretty different from Germans.
Oh yeah, some say so, yeah.
Just the way the business is done, the interactive
hmm
style. I mean,
hmm
uh,
hmm
How does that work for you? What did you bring? How are you seeing the integration happen? Is there pushback?
Mhm.
You know you are bigger than the life you are leading. It really is time to attend to that thing you've wanted to do or have, but you've been putting off. It's time to step into that dream you've parked for someday. It's time to claim true well being, both personally and professionally, without giving up the success that got you here. It's time to check out Dr. Pernell's signature small group retreat, the Exponential Success Summit. Explore exponentialsuccesssummit.com. Seats are extremely limited as this is a very special small group event. www.exponentialsuccesssummit.com.
I've seen some organizations that are very um, dictatorial. You know, you're part of our
Yeah.
group now. You will do it our way. This is our way. There's no room for you if to do it any other way. And I've seen other organizations that are, hey, this is our culture. We want to honor the culture you have.
Hmm.
And without saying it this way, it's basically like you need to adapt to our culture the best you can while we honor the culture you have. So,
Hmm.
what are you seeing and how does that work?
Yeah. I think we also may have evolved in the style we do it, and I think it's pretty much on eye level and varying the we call it Vielfalt. So it's the German word is not exactly diversity. It's a bit Vielfalt. It's the manyness, right? So of cultures that we bring, and right, our customers are from all cultures, right?
Hmm.
And to be able to offer a good service to them, we are yeah, it's just essential to be open to different cultural parts of your employees. And I think we have the track record of really integrating other European carriers is quite good lately. So we've learned, right? And of course there have been pushbacks where maybe when we integrated Austrian, and back then I was at Cargo, it was more like, okay, now it's Lufthansa Cargo and Austrian Cargo. Come on, you are part of Lufthansa Cargo now. That's how it works, which had some of the other pushback. But I think we also like learned how it's been done, and I think with ITO it's a good example. From the beginning on, it was said, okay, this is really making us truly a European airline group, right? Because
Hmm.
we started out with all the German-speaking countries as home markets, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland. Then we have Belgium, but also in Belgium there's a German-speaking community, and it's quite culturally relatively close. Uh, and as you said, right, Italy is a different culture, a culture that we very much value, and I think
Yeah.
we're doing a good job there, right? Of course, there's someone from Lufthansa side to the board, but also we have Italian people on the board of ITA, and then it's really about learning from each other and not dictatory in style,
I
because
think that's
I don't
huge.
think that it works, right? Because and that's why we keep the brands, right? It's we would never transform ITA into Lufthansa. That wouldn't work because Italian customers, they
Right.
want to fly with ITA, and like, well, the best, I've been working for Swiss International Airline in Zurich, which is the maybe the most over the long over a long distance, it's like the most successful part of Lufthansa Group, right? Switzerland is a
Yeah.
very successful country with a very proud airline, which somehow got into a struggle and then was acquired by Lufthansa Group, which wasn't easy for the Swiss people because, right, it's a small German-speaking country, which also, yeah, would like to keep the German part at arm's length. and then were then part of Lufthansa Group. But I think that really grew together, and they are a very proud and strong part of the group. But they're part of the group, and
Yeah.
they bring their aspects into there, and they, I don't know, a lot of the kind of the commercial heartbeat of Lufthansa Group is taking place in Zurich, for example,
Amazing.
because
I
they're
want to call out
simply good
something
at
you
that.
said. I want to underscore a couple of things you said. Um, the first is Vielfalt, which is feel means many. So I
Hmm.
think it's a really great root of the word for diversity and
Hmm.
as it translates multiplicity, right? So that
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's
it
it.
is so many different things across a broad area. So I love the concept of Vielfalt. You said you gave it was a throwaway line, and I wanted to capture it, and it's about learning from each other, right? So that when
Hmm.
you've got representatives of Lufthansa and of ITA on the board, it's not about it's our way. It's about
Hmm.
we're learning from each other. We're
Hmm.
here to learn and grow and support each other. That's fantastic, right? There's this
Hmm.
kind of drive for support, which is amazing. You also said it's important to keep the brands. I
Hmm.
watched two majors. There was a period of time, a decade and a half ago, that two major airlines went through. One of them I was flying all the time, and it acquired another one. And for 7 years, they have union representation. And for 7 years, there was a lack of real integration. And it was really easy to say, oh, you're with this old group that no longer exists, right? You're with
Hmm.
these guys. And the flight crew would go, how could you tell? Like it's it's a different culture. Like,
It's obvious, right?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So they were all about not keeping the brand, and I think that's, if it's a true acquisition and you're taking it over, then yeah,
Hmm.
there needs to be a solid blend. But here it was an acquisition where it's important to keep the brands that allows for diversification, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we have in strategy we kind of differentiated that out. We said everything that is, and we differentiate nowadays between guests and customers. Uh, Everything that is guest facing, so that is the single person entering, being our guest at one
yes,
of our planes, that is truly decentral. And truly, if you fly with Austrian, you will get the best coffee in Lufthansa Group because they have coffee house culture in Austria, and that's what they stand for. And they play Vienna waltz when you enter the plane, because that's what you expect, and what you value about it. It's something different in Lufthansa, right? A lot of people say, "Boy, that it feels whenever I entered those who have, I don't know, grew up in different countries but have a relationship to Germany in a way that was feeling at home whenever I entered a Lufthansa plane. So Lufthansa as representative of something positively German. And we want to keep, we want to differentiate and want to spark all the individuality at that guest facing level because that's the human part.
yes,
But behind the curtain, we want to, of course, be as efficient as possible, right? So it's like all seats are the same. They look different, but they are the same. All apps, we just have one app. But if you use the app out of Austria, it will come in red, which is the color of Austrian, and it will come in dark blue in Lufthansa. But it's the same, right? It's a bit like Volkswagen does it. With all the European car brands who are
yes,
basically the same underneath, right? They have like the motors of like Lamborghini. Lamborghini has something in common with a Volkswagen or a Audi or so. Um, and still they keep the brands because it's right? In Spain, you would buy a Seat, and in Germany, you would buy a Volkswagen. And it's a
Yes.
bit like that to, yeah, keep that. And it's even, I don't know, when I was at Swiss, we had something like sense of Switzerland. What do you send when you enter a Swiss aircraft? How does it smell? How does it sound? And so they really spend something. Said what does hospitality look like from our brands and our customers' perspective?
This is huge. I want to underscore that for every audience member that's listening or watching this. What does hospitality look like, smell like, taste like, sound like, feel like in each of the offerings that you have? And
Mm,
as an individual, what it like, how are you showing up? You know, I talk about my brand, I talk about values, vision, and vitality. And the vitality is
mm,
how are you showing up
mm,
for each of your values, for the vision that you said you had. And what's cool is the vision for each of the Lufthansa brands could be a little different. There's
mm,
the overarching vision, and then there's this is how we put it out there. That's the vitality piece. This is how we embody it. I really think that that's an important place to be spending some time. Like if you haven't looked at your own organization in a while, go back and look at
mm,
how are we like what is the experience? How are we bringing that experience? I think that's so important. I think that's just so important. We get used to, well, this is, I'm doing my job. I'm running my company. It's like, well, when was the last time you gave that some notice? Which I just think it's really
mm,
great.
mm.
Can I shift gears a little bit? Can I ask you a different question?
Sure.
You ready? So Lufthansa itself, it's had so many ups and downs. It went through its own economic crises.
Mm,
It it did well, not amazingly well, but it did well enough to survive during COVID.
mm, mm,
That was a huge disruption for all airlines, and yet the Lufthansa Group did really well. And now, if we look at where we are these days, we're in this place of AI-driven change.
mm,
What did you notice along the way? What has been sort of the thing about leading through uncertainty? Was there a theme? Was there an initial breath holding? Was there a we're gonna just go out there and keep going no matter what? What was sort of the sense of leading through uncertainty? What did you notice?
mm. On the one hand, and that is, I think, common to all airlines. They're very sensitive to any kind of disruption on any
Yeah.
level, right? Be it an pandemic, be it, I don't know, a strike in some country, be it a war, be it, I don't know, fuel prices and so it's kind of in the DNA to be able to adapt in times of crisis and to develop some kind of resilience. Say, okay, uh, we've we've seen 9/11.
Hmm.
We have seen the Iceland volcano, right, where there was no air traffic for 1.5 weeks, and you
Yes.
wonder, okay, hey, I'm not able to buy fresh fish anymore. Why is that? Um, yeah, or no roses anymore. Oh, why is that? Um, but back then I was a Lufthansa cargo, and it enabled them to really come back then because it was at the end of the financial crisis, 2008, 9. So the volcano was in the beginning of 2010,
What's
and
at the basis of resilience, Tobias? Like, because it's one thing to
yeah,
say, like, resilience means to bounce back. At the
yeah,
basis of that, you're bouncing back to something, which means I mean, for me, it would be the vision, right? We're bouncing back.
Yeah,
We have this vision that's going to carry us
yeah.
through no matter what.
And I
Is
think it's something like that, right? It's
is it?
being connecting people, connecting cultures, like the I'm not sure if it's an English word, the cosmopolitan view of uh, okay, we are in Germany, you say Weltbürger, like world citizen,
Yeah.
and really embrace that traveling and also been when I was a recruiter, I had the pitch where okay, you can work for a consultancy firm. Yeah, that's totally fine. They pay you a lot of money, or you can work for an insurance, right? Or you can work in shaping a long, very old mankind dream, right? People drew flying on cave walls. Da Vinci
Mm.
fascinated flying. Icarus, so it's in the ancient myth. It's a mankind dream, and we have the privilege to bringing that to life. And I think even though it's strongly commercialized and it's more of a commodity, there still is this once you're above the clouds and you like look at the sun above the clouds, it's like it you feel that there's something bigger than yourself. And I
Mm.
think there is this deep sense of purpose is in a lot of people working for airlines or working for Lufthansa Group, which makes it, I think, it's a good equipment to stand through crisis and to bounce back, right? And when we look at our employee engagement score, which we are measuring, it was the strongest in summer 2020. And that was when there was a decision whether Lufthansa is going to file for insolvency or not,
Hmm.
because we
That was a tough time.
that was that, and it was just one click. It was one stock owner holding a lot of stock, and like he was either if he decided to take the government aids which come with certain uh, yeah conditions, right? Then Lufthansa would stay, or if we should file insolvency, and it's a bit different than in America with Chapter 11, or where it's more normal to go insolvent, and it's the mechanism is more easy to bounce back. Then that's not that easy in Germany and Europe, and that was when the commitment to the company was strongest.
Mm.
And
That's
because it was
amazing.
like clear, and then people, and at that day people were in front of the head office, and they were kind of singing uh, like
There's a sense of identity in
yeah,
being tied to the Lufthansa Group, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's for what I see in especially in American organizations is that the loyalty isn't necessarily to the organization, it's to themselves, which that's fine. You're allowed and
You
should
should do that
have,
for sure, right?
right, a
That
personal
should be the
identity.
strongest loyalty, right? Yeah.
Yes. That's great. And at the same time, this goes back to something you said a second ago, which was there's this sense of recognizing that there's something bigger than yourself and you're a part of it. And
Yeah.
so somehow Lufthansa has created that as desirable. I want to be part of this, right? What's
Hmm.
kept you? Let me go personal with you. What's like you've been there a couple of decades at this
Hmm.
point, and
Yeah.
it's
Finishing that
like
second one. Yeah. Mm.
so here's the thing. Are you just comfortable? Is it a comfortable place to be? Or do you wake up every day going, you know what? I kind of love my job. I kind of love being a part of this organization.
Mm. Actually, it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that and value that. From time to time, I take a look outside, right? I have one or the other conversation with different employers, and I think there are a lot of good employers and a lot of good work to be done in right
Yeah.
there, good companies or good doesn't have to be countries, companies, right? Good organizations all over. Still, maybe it's like democracy, right? You say it's among all the bad systems is the best.
Okay.
And maybe the grass may be greener on the other side when it looks if you look for salaries or well, no. But I truly value what I have. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
also having had some tough times, right? In the bouncing back from crisis, I was at the very heart of that, having managed the downsizing program for ground staff at Lufthansa
Mm.
itself. Those were tough times, right? And that was
Yeah.
where you say, hey, we value your work. We simply cannot employ all of us anymore. So it might be the best service you could do to the company to leave.
Mm.
Ugh, right? And very emotional stuff. People who signed their severance payment contract and cried, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and still maybe a story. I did that, and it was like 2 years later where our CEO he's running a lecture as Munich at the Technical University of Munich. Once a year, he's giving a like open lecture there, and everybody it's announced publicly, so everybody can come. So there's always a lot of people there. And back then, I still had a strong heart. And I think I even was still responsible for recruiting. I said, okay, I come along when you are there. You may not know it, but when you are there, that has something to do with recruiting. So you do your lecture after on. I try to collect some people, and I did so. And a woman, maybe my age or a bit older, approached me after the lecture and said, "Hey, Tobias, I know you. You did. You were the lead of the. We called it back then. The program was named Now. You were the project lead of Now, and I want to tell you something. You did a good job. I took
Oh.
the severance payment and I felt dealt with on eye level, and I consider to come back once the silent period, right? In the contract, they say, okay, you get a severance payment, so you leave, and you are only allowed to apply back after some certain amount of time. But she said, hey, I'm considering to come back because really that's something I loved, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
That is
and that was
something.
what inspired me back then. I said, hey, it's hard, but maybe we can do it with a bit of a human touch.
Oh, I love it. Right. It's so that is so so important, the humanity through all of it. And even when it's a huge organization with over 100 105 110,000 people, there's a thread of humanity that goes through all of it. I think, for me, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast was because of that message that it doesn't matter if your organization is yourself, one person, you're a solo
Yeah,
operator, or if your organization is hundreds of thousands, there's a humanity that I think people will resonate with
yeah,
that makes you special. I think it's
yeah.
phenomenal. We're, I'm always surprised when I interview people and time just seems to fly. And
Mhm.
I'm noticing that our time is at the end,
Almost up.
at least for this episode. So Talk to me a little bit about if people wanted to know more, if they wanted to join the Lufthansa Group, if they wanted to just reach out and run some ideas by you, how could they find you? What's the best way of reaching you?
Yeah, as a former recruiter, I'm of course heavy LinkedIn user, so just reach out via LinkedIn. I might not be the fastest in answering because as you can imagine, messages are quite a lot. But yeah, you
You're a little
can for
busy.
sure. Yeah, I'm a little busy, but right. But yeah, of course, feel free to reach out and yeah, maybe give it a look. Right, look at our career pages, Lufthansa Group careers. There are opportunities to join. Also, right, it's right at the moment. It's again an interesting time, right? On in a way, a crisis, in a way, a lot of opportunities.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah, so right, and actually, it's if you step back and look at the aviation industry, it's been growing, right? And 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 it will keep growing
Oh yeah, we're gonna see EVTOLs
because
taking
it's
off.
traveling, right? That traveling will always be an essential part of human life.
Yes, it's one thing to connect screen to screen. It's another thing to connect person to person and actually do
Yes.
that in-person handshake and hug and have a cup of coffee across the table. It's great. So, this is awesome. So it's on LinkedIn. It's Dr. Tobias Tobias Bartholomé Bartholome.
That's
Uh,
correct.
and that's how you'll find him. Um, any last words about, if people were to take your kind of leadership, it's via the one sharp sword way, cutting through to what matters most. If there was one thing they could take to tomorrow's challenges, what would you say that would be?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now you saved the toughest questions for last, right?
I know, and I'm asking you to do it succinctly. It is a tough one.
Mm, mm. Even though I'm just reaching inside, so it's not pretty much in doesn't refer to the conversation that we had, but it's one of the principles I run by. One of my principles is trust reduces complexity, right? It's if you establish trust among people, trust between a company and its employees, that's the thing that will help you
That
even
was
through hard
amazing.
times.
I did
Yeah.
not expect that answer, and that's gold. That is beautiful. Thank you. Right, what what is the one principle that people can take into tomorrow's challenges? Trust reduces complexity. Establish trust amongst all your people. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you. This is great. I look forward to staying connected with you, and
Yeah, me too.
this is wonderful. Dr. Tobias Bartholomé, thank you for being on One Sharp Sword. Excellent. This is One Sharp Sword, cutting through to what matters most. I'm Dr. P, Dr. Wayne Pernell, your host, your guide, and your coach on this journey. We will see you here again next time. Please like, please share, please comment. This is, how the message gets out, and I think what we're sharing is really important. So again, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you here next time.